No matter how dark the night is, the sun always rises. No matter how hard life gets, keep moving forward. You never know what amazing things are waiting just around the corner. No story is too rough and no journey is too tough. Join us on Stretch Street to be inspired by the stories of people who have been through it all and come out stronger. Stretch Street Podcast. Stretching without snapping.
Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode on the Stretch Street Podcast. This is the energetic EJ. You know the next line I'm going to say. Should I say it or should I not? I'm going to say it, okay? I am super excited to be here again this week, as always, right? Yes, so today on the show, all the way, I think it's about time that I got me a VS8 so that I can have all those effects, and stuff like that. But since it's not here now, I'm gonna do it in my mouth. Drum roll, all the way from Colorado, USA. Today on the show, I have with me a visionary. I love that. I love that. He's a visionary. He's a transformational coach. He's a speaker, a very good one at that. You should watch his TED Talk, by the way. Is an advisor and an author, which is, I feel like the way that this is arranged on his bio, this is like the latest thing, right? Like this is the latest feather in his hat, okay? And we're going to get into that conversation soon. So today on the show, I have with me Matt Thieleman. And so look at me. In my excitement, I forgot to ask him how to pronounce his last name. So he's going to do that when we get to meet him the Stretch Street way. So Matt works with leaders and change makers to help them live into their purpose more fully and bring their masterpieces to the world. He educates and trains coaches to be world class in their field and help their clients reach their full potential. Prior to becoming a coach, Matt was in the marketing world, working with clients in particularly every industry imaginable. I want to dive into that one a little bit. Having worked with companies such as Michigan Ross School of Business, Garnet, Parthenon Publishing, and others, Matt had a good look at how well intentioned leadership not getting out of their own way was causing businesses harm. That is quite interesting. Matt has been a leadership coach since 2016 and spent 2021 as CEO of Pillar, a coaching organization for venture backed founders. After a year of intense growth and hard work, Matt turned his focus back to coaching and other soul work he's called to bring to the world. It's simply a continuation of a lifelong mission to heal himself, help others heal, and lead others with authenticity. I love that. And the title of this new book is This is Coaching. And again, I say we're going to dive into that conversation because right now it feels like coaching is a sensation, especially online. Everybody is a coach. So, what is this is coaching all about? We're going to dive into that. But before we do that, you already know what we do on Stretch Street, that we share the stretch story. There is a story that has led up to where he is today. We want to dive into that, get some information, but most importantly, get to learn the life lessons that his journey has taught him. And hopefully we can learn from that and be inspired by that story. All right. So sit back, relax, grab your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, your bottle of water, whatever works for you. And let us get to meet my guest, the Stretch Street way. And then we get into the conversation. So don't go anywhere. And before I go, please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening on any of the podcast platform, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Teacher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, all the cast, please, please, please favorite us there. Send your messages if you have any questions, if you have contributions as well. You can support the work that I do here at Stretch Street by hitting the button that says support me by buying me a cup of coffee. All right. Now I'm going to get out of the way. Let me introduce you to my guest today. Hello and welcome to another episode on the Stretch Street Podcast. Hello, Matt. How are you doing today?
I'm so great, EJ. Thank you. Before we go off, I want to say I'm recording my audiobook and I know how challenging it is to read off of a script and you did great. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're doing the audio. Yes, 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 yes. We want more of that. And it's even more fascinating when the author does their audio because it just brings us closer to them and they're able to transfer the emotion that they had when they were writing the book into the audio. So, way to go. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm a fan of audiobooks, like, and I'm an advocate for authors creating their audiobooks because I also help them. So, for those who feel like, I'm not comfortable, I don't have a good voice, don't worry. I can help you. Let me help you.
I love it.
Right. So before we go on, please, can you just teach me? I am so sorry how to pronounce your last name.
Yeah, you did great. It's Thieleman.
Thielman. Okay, I did great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
actually really liked
so
your pronunciation. Yeah.
much. Thank you. All right, Matt, let's meet you the stretch street way. If I were to ask you to just summarize in one short sentence, what do you do? What would your answer be?
So as a coach, I think that my job is to remind people that they're God. And God doesn't have to mean what we all think it is that we are divine and we are the creators of our lives and we're all connected. And once people remember that, they then start to create their own life and do incredible things in the world. So I do that over and over again.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Please remind me. Remind me personally. Can you remind me right
Yeah.
now?
Same. And remind me, you are definitely God. I feel it. You are
I
divine.
feel awesome and all powerful. Love it. Okay. So, what is your philosophy of life?
It's related to what my job is. So my job is my philosophy is that we get to decide what this life is for us. We get to be born into this like incredibly humbling experience of having a human body and being divine souls. And so my philosophy is that we get to make up the rules and play the games that we want. We got to inherit a whole bunch of games when we were born that we get to unlearn or discover. But once we start to do that, we really get to create exactly what we want in life.
Hmm. Love it. We are in control. We can create our own world. I love it. So, tell us one fun thing about you.
The most fun thing that is happening right now is that I get married on June 24th. And this weekend is
Oh,
I don't know when this will come out, but when you and I are talking, this weekend is my bachelor party, and I'm going to go see about 12 friends and family that I don't get to spend that much time with, and I'm just really excited to be back with my people.
oh, congratulations to
Oh,
you
thank
and
you.
the bride to be.
Thank you.
Yay. I
Thank
wish I
you.
could fly in to experience it with you, but it's fine. I'm sending my love and my wishes to you both.
Thank you. Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Awesome. All right. So let us dive into this story, your stretch story. Now, I'm going to start. I know you have, like, you're going to tell us all the deep story, but there's something that caught my
Mhm.
attention when I watched your TED talk. And it was when you started and you said you started to coach at age 29 and you felt like a fraud. That
Yeah.
caught my attention because when you said that and I heard that, what came to mind was that's imposter syndrome. Was it? That's my first question to you. Was it? And how were you able to overcome it? Because I know in the TED talk you went ahead to explain how there were things you were teaching or you were using, there were frameworks you were using with your clients, but you weren't like applying, like meditation,
Mhm.
right? I'm really curious to know how were you able to come out of that phase of feeling like a fraud and actually owning your own?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that in the way you did. So in my bio, I use the word visionary,
Yeah.
and for that, for me, what that means is that I see I think often earlier than other people. So
Hmm.
when you and I are talking today, and mindfulness is sort of ubiquitous in the world, just like coaching is everywhere in the world. In 2014, when I first had this idea of working on mindfulness with companies, it was just starting to come into sort of culture. People were just starting to
Mm.
talk about it, and beyond sort of the religious or spiritual way that we think about it.
Yeah.
And um, I say that to say I am often doing things that I'm not yet ready for. So I often feel
Mm.
like a fraud. I that's a pretty universal experience for me, to be honest. And to get back to your question about that moment, I had the idea that I'm going to go teach mindfulness in corporations, and I had never formally sat in meditation in my life when I had this idea.
Mm.
But there was a part of me that knew and saw this thing is really, really, really important. And I was committed to doing the thing that I saw was important. I then started to go on my own meditation journey, right? And a couple of weeks after I went to my first drop-in meditation at a center where I lived at the time. I then did a training in meditation. I found a mentor, and she was a deeply practiced meditator, and she supported me. And at the time, I think, yes, it was imposter syndrome. It was this experience of I'm looking and I'm reading folks like Jack Kornfield and Deepak Chopra, who are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of meditators, and
Mm.
saying, why would anyone listen to me? I'm a guy who just started doing this a few months ago. Like, why would anyone care what I think? As time has gone by, I've realized, though, that they can't connect with everyone, that not everyone is
Mm.
going to actually receive their message. There are some folks who need me to speak. And that, as I wrote my book, the principles of my book are fundamental, they're foundational, they're not very advanced in many ways, and they're necessary. And so that was what I started to learn. It was like, it actually doesn't matter where I am. If I share what I have, someone will likely get value.
I love it. I love it because, I would say that I am constantly fighting and winning over this thing called, imposter syndrome, where you feel like, oh my God,
Mhm.
am I a fraud? Like, I know that this thing works. Like, I know it. I might not be like actively applying it, but I know it works. So, what is wrong
Yeah.
with me showing others who might probably apply it and make it work? And I've seen that happen over time. Like, okay, I said it, they did it, it worked for them, but maybe, oh my God, I am not doing it consistently. So does that make me a fraud? Right. And that's been a battle that I've had to, fight, and I am winning on a daily basis. And what you said is one of the things that I tell myself as well,
Mm.
and, every time I maybe run to my very close friends to say, you know what, I think that feeling is here again. And they're like, dude, you are one step ahead. So that's fine. You're just showing them what you know one step ahead of them, and that's okay. Like, and even if you're just sharing the knowledge itself, it's what works, not you, right? So does
Yeah.
it feel like, in a way, when we battle that, does it feel like we are kind of putting ourselves in the way and we just need to get out of the way?
Yeah, oh, definitely. And it's okay that we're in the way. I mean, it makes complete sense. Those thoughts are there to keep us safe. There's a part of our brain
Mm.
that works to keep us safe because if we think about back when our brain was developing and before we were in cultures in which right now, today, it's okay if yesterday I got my second 1-star review on my book on Amazon. That's okay. I'm not going to die, right? It's okay if someone doesn't agree with me. When we were emerging as humans, someone in our village not liking us actually meant we might die. And so there's a part of our brain that's still programmed that says, look out for anyone who disagrees because it's really dangerous. And so a lot of what I do with myself and as a coach with my clients is to say, this fear, this doubt is going to show up when we're doing scary things, when we're doing new things, because it wants to keep us safe. And that's okay. If we can just assume it's going to show up, we can change our relationship with it. And we can say, oh, I actually am not going to die. It's okay. And I can learn to actually love it because it means that I'm growing. The other thing that I think is common for folks like you and me is that we often, because we grow so frequently, we're in growth all the time. It isn't often that we look back and say, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. We often discount all the steps we've taken along the way. And we think, if I know this now, I should have known this before, even though it was literally impossible. And so one of the other important things that I struggle to do with, but is in my book, and with my clients, we do it constantly, is to celebrate the ground covered, to celebrate all of the things that have happened in our growth.
That is like, you can see, like, I can't contain my smile because, like,
Yeah.
you just hit the nail on the head. Yes, like there is no time. Like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And you don't even take time to say, "Oh my God, I did all that." But and it feels like, it's like, I don't know, maybe because, like you said, we're always in the face of growth. So he's like,
Mhm.
there's so much to learn. I don't know much. So even the little that I know and others behind are like, oh my God, you know so much. I'm like, really? Really?
Right? Because
Wow.
we're looking at the stuff we don't know yet and we're interested in, right? Like that's generally our view. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So now let me take you back. So, what has the journey been like for you? Getting out at that early age at 29. That means if you started your own journey to, like, this is what I want to do in the world at 29, it meant that you started maybe discovering or working with others earlier than that, right? So, when did you get into the corporate world, and what inspired you to, like, you know what, this is how I want to impact the world, and then the journey so far? Yeah.
Yeah. I was one of those weird kids. And I hadn't put the pieces together until I've been doing a lot of these conversations. And at my book launch party last last week, I made this connection. So my mom worked in healthcare my whole life, and healthcare, at least here in the U.S., is to work in healthcare is a challenging place to work. It's often
Hmm.
toxic cultures, which is ironic because the desire is to create good health, and then people are going to work and they aren't very good work environments.
Hmm.
And so I was working with my mom starting at age 14, just going and filing things and, managing, organizational administrative work, like not high level stuff.
Hmm.
But as I got into college and started to study psychology and sociology, we started to have conversations about folks at work, about the culture of the place, about the leadership, about how the doctors led, about how people were interacting with each other. And so at age 18, 19, I was already thinking about organizational development. I didn't know that was the stuff. I didn't know that was the label for it, but those were the
Sorry.
conversations I was having.
Hmm.
And so I've always been interested in, and now I call myself a student of the human experience. I've just always been interested in, like, why do people do the crazy stuff they do? Like, what is happening such that we are living how we are? And so that has led to all of the steps in my life. And so, yeah, those experiences as a teenager. I studied psychology and sociology in college. After college, I knew I wanted to make an impact in the world. I thought for a minute about being a practicing anthropologist, but I knew that, like, sort of on the ground field work wasn't the place I wanted to be. I thought that I
Hmm.
needed money and power to get influence so that I could make change. I sort of saw the people at the top, at least here in the US, as the ones who had the most influence. And I had friends say, well, the closer you are to the money, the more influence you have. And so I
Hmm.
went into marketing because that was the closest I, at the time, could imagine myself to the money. And started as a marketer in my career in 2008. So right after the financial crisis, I was lucky enough to work at a university. And it was also the time that today's social media companies were just starting to emerge.
Hmm.
And I happen to be pretty good at speaking, not in marketing speak, but like a human to other people. And so I could bring this new perspective. And so I ended up
In
leading social
conversations.
media.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, let's not just punch them over the head with come and buy this or come and enroll. It's like, let's talk to them as humans and understand them. And there is a moment where um, there was someone on social media who was deciding between our school and another school,
Hmm.
or who was thinking about going to school for a particular thing. And I offered multiple schools as options. And my boss was like, why didn't you
Why
just
would
tell
you
him to
do
come
that?
here? Yeah. Right. And I was like, well, like I want to be of support. Like I want to be of use. He ended up coming to our school. And I think largely because I didn't try to only sell us. I
Poach
gave him multiple
him into your
perspectives.
school. You give
Yeah.
him options. And so, yeah, that's really good.
And so today, again, like that sort of marketing is pretty commonplace. But back then it was sort of new. And so my journey has largely been these small incremental steps of like, I see this new way of doing a thing.
Mm,
Let's try it out. And so that has how I moved from marketing to then teaching mindfulness again. As I saw these broken workplaces, I was always thinking about how people are with each other in work or how they operate as an organization. So I started to speak on leadership. People asked me to coach them. I said yes. I got really interested in coaching. I started to develop myself as a coach. And that is how it's gone. So those are the steps. But you asked how the process has been. It's been terrifying and lonely and energizing and exciting and fulfilling in the most wonderful way. Like anything we could
all the
imagine, it's been all of
emotions.
that. Yeah.
I can only imagine. And as you shared the journey, it feels like this path chose you. Like
Mm.
you had it in you. You didn't know the label for it, like you didn't know the name for it, but you just were just following your intuition, taking one step at a time, and it kept calling at you. And then you're like, oh, okay, this is what it's called. Then let me learn about it. Oh, this is what it's called. And it's so beautiful because for me, it feels like, oh, this is it. You're living your authentic life, right? And you're growing into it, which is beautiful. What are some lessons that you would say these experiences and your journey so far has taught you?
Thanks for pointing that out and for that reflection. And that's why I say that I do souls work with people, because for my people, it often feels there's like a pain in my body that was like, this thing needs to happen. It needs to come out. I need to go there. So one of the lessons is to for folks to get quiet enough to discover like, how does that, for me it was like a pain, it was like an angst, something isn't right. For other folks it might be just a spark of desire or interest, but to get curious with yourself, like how does that show up for you so that you can start moving towards it. I love that you say that at 29 I was young. I often felt like I was older than I wanted to be when I started to do this. So thank you. But that's a reminder that like at any age, if we start to get curious about this, and it doesn't have to be our career, but like my invitation is to get curious about how that feels for you and start to see what's going on there. There's a thing that I wish I had done when I was younger, and that I still wish I would do more now, which is to simply share my thoughts, to share my work, um, to share it with the world and quote now create a brand is how we think about it today. But then it was more like to start to create a body of work and be in the practice of sharing. Speaking of, I talked a little bit ago about, who's going to believe me or who's going to actually trust me as a meditative guide. I had a friend in conversation. She was like, look, you can be the one who's like publish as the person who's a step ahead of them, who's the person who is teaching without knowing all the answers yet. Like there, so I wish I had started to do that even then, even in the face of all that doubt. I think that's really powerful for people.
So that's more like you wish you had documented your journey, like intentionally documented to say, okay, and I
Yeah.
love it because I think that must be what has endeared people to you, your client, the people, because you were not afraid to like learn on the job to say, you know what, I know what I feel, I know what I'm
Mm.
feeling, and I know what I know. Right. I just want to help you with it, right? Without all the fluff and the packaging. But again, I feel like maybe if you had like, I think it all depends. We would never know now, right? But it's possible
No.
that if you had tried to like just document it and package it, it might have turned out into a packaging because I mean you're a marketer, right? So you might have just
Yeah.
turned it into
Yeah.
yeah.
But the part of it is being in the practice of letting that our soul speak, right? It is like is now, the book came because I had been in that practice a bit. It was I would say channeled through me. Like I woke up, I had the outline for the book, and then I started writing. And And that came thanks to the fact that, for example, I did a TEDx talk. So a lot of this like intense practice in creating, I think, allowed for this. And so, yeah, my recommendation is just like, as soon as possible, just write or create or document or record yourself, just to practice sharing stuff. Like, just do that.
Absolutely. I love it. So tell us about the book. Tell us a sneak peek into the book, and well, we'll round this up.
Yeah, the book is the book that I wish I had had when I was a young coach. So it's for so I didn't do a formal coach training. I'm not certified as a coach. People asked me to coach them. I said yes, and then I have done training, just non ICF certified. So I've done a lot of training. My training has been coaching, getting feedback on my coaching in the moment. So people watching me coach other people and then receiving, this is what was good. This is where you need to get better, over and over and over again. And when I went into that training, I remember the first day, I didn't even know if I was coaching. There was a point where I was like, oh, I have to quote coach now. I'm going to just keep like asking questions and wasting time. And people were like, well, like your questions were coaching, like you're doing the thing. And so, but I didn't have a framework for it. I didn't really know the process. So this book is my very simple framework for coaching. It's 3 steps. It's the same as when we open our maps, Google Maps on our phone, and we want to get directions is, where do you want to go? Where are you now? And what's in between? And what I learned is that the first 2 steps are the most important, and everyone wants to focus on the third. Everyone wants to have the strategies without being clear on where they want to go very, very specifically, and where they are right now. And so that's the essence of the book. But what it also is a book I'm going to return to for the rest of my life, because it's these fundamental principles reminding me of what my job is as a coach. And what that means is that I have to be committed to being in my own growth and transformation if I'm going to be a good coach, because my job is not to give people answers. My job is not to replace someone's Google Maps. It's to support them in becoming their own navigation system. And in order to do that, I need to not think I'm right and have all the answers. I need to be humble enough to support them. I need to let go of all my judgments or my questions or my desire to rush them. Um, and these lessons I forget all of the time. I was like, in the week before my book launch, I'm reading it and I'm like, this stuff is so good. I wish I was following it. And my fiance was like, yeah, your life would be a lot easier if you listened to that guy, right? So so that's the
Uh,
essence of the book. And I think it's good. It's for any new coach. I think it's great. For any coach who's saying, I want to continue to figure out how I can deepen, I think it's great. And for anyone who's a leader and is thinking like, how do I motivate people or think about growth, I think it's useful.
hmm. Oh, fantastic. Now I want to get a copy. I think I should,
Mhm.
because I love the fact that, this is one of the things that has like keeps the question coming, like, oh my god, am I doing it right, right? Because certificate, like, I don't have a certificate, right? But we're
Yeah.
doing the thing, because coaching is about helping, it's about questioning, it's about helping people make up their own mind, make up their own decision, just by the kind of questions you ask them. Like, you're not deciding for them, you're not giving them, you're not forcing them, but you're just guiding them. Like, are you sure? Are you not sure? Can you look at this? Can you see it from this perspective? But
Yeah.
the fact that there is no certification is like, who's gonna listen? Are you sure? What if a policeman comes like, where is your certificate?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get
Right?
busted. Yeah, and I love your view on coaching as well. Like, it sounds like we're really in alignment. And you spoke at the beginning of like, everyone's a coach these days, and I'm looking at it a little bit skeptical. Like, are they actually coaches, or are they just giving it? Not just are they giving advice and consulting? And for me, there's a difference. And so, my other hope is that people will read this and say, oh, this is what coaching can be like, and this other thing is maybe advising, and that's okay.
Mm,
Super
mm.
valuable. I just want us to be clear on which is which.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt. It's been a pleasure talking to you, hearing your story, hearing the lessons that these stories of your experience so far has taught you, and gaining insight into this power of a book that you have created from within. And I hope I can lay my hands on one of them and, just get to understand that this is coaching. And I love it because I love your vulnerability as well to say, oh my God, I was reading down like, oh my God, I wish I was practicing this thing. Like,
Yeah.
that is so good. I really think that's like an edge for you as a brand, as a person, as a coach. Please don't lose it because that is the
Mm.
humanity in you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much. So, if people wanted to get the book, connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm the easiest way is my website, which is goldenbristle.com. Golden like the color, and bristle BRISTLE like a brush. And if you go to my website, go to the very bottom, there's a little boar icon. If you click on that, you get the story of the name. So there's a little.
Oh, okay. No problem. So I'm going to leave all the links to Matt's book, his website, and everything you need to know about him in the description of this video as well as of the audio podcast. So, guys, I hope that you have learned a thing or two, and I hope that you are going to go get that book, especially if you're a leader and if you know you really want to lead from the heart, not just boss people around. And if you're a coach or a tending coach, or you never can, like, we're never going to stop learning until we die, right? So you can learn something new from this book, all right? So the link to the book, everything is going to be in the description. So you go grab your copy. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So, like, come your way again next week with another person, another story, reminding you that the challenges are always going to be there, right? But they are there to teach us. And so extracting the lessons that they have come to teach us is what is important, all right? So remember that. Keep stretching. Don't snap. And even if you do, please find your way back and go again at it. I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. I really do hope that you found it valuable. All right. If you did, please visit us again next week when we will put out another episode. In case you forgot at the beginning or at the middle, now is a good time to click on the subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you don't get to miss any of our episodes. All right. Till we come your way again next week, remember also to read the description of this video for any links that might be there that would help you or also help you support the work that we do here. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.